The boiling woman. Water dripped somewhere in the apartment. Slow. Repeating. At first, it sounded like a leaking pipe. Then the smell came. Burned metal. Wet walls began collecting condensation, and distorted footprints appeared across the floor. They stopped outside the kitchen. A tall figure stood in the dark. Its skin looked melted, dripping slowly onto the tiles. Steam rose from its body. Its face kept changing, twisting in pain, then smiling. The room grew hotter. The dripping stopped, and the figure took one slow step forward. The boiling woman is a humanoid entity over 2 meters tall. Its body constantly emits heat, causing moisture buildup and rising temperatures in enclosed spaces. Its skin appears partially melted and continuously leaks unidentified liquid. Witnesses describe its face as unstable, rapidly shifting between expressions of suffering and calm smiling. The entity moves slowly and leaves warped, wet footprints behind. Electronic devices often fail near it due to extreme heat and condensation. Direct encounters usually end after prolonged visual contact with the entity's face. The window mimic. Someone is standing outside your window. At first, it looks normal. Just a person watching from the dark. They don't move, don't blink. The longer you stare, the stranger they seem. Their arms look too long, their heads slightly tilted at the wrong angle. You step closer to the glass. So do they. Their face becomes clearer but less human. The eyes are too deep, the smile too wide, and the reflection in the window no longer matches its movements. Then it raises one hand and taps the glass from the outside. The window mimic is a nocturnal humanoid entity that appears outside illuminated windows after midnight. At long distances, it resembles an ordinary human figure, but its anatomy becomes increasingly distorted when observed closely. Witnesses report abnormal limb proportions, delayed movement, and facial asymmetry. The entity often mirrors nearby human behavior before gradually deviating from it. Visual exposure causes intense paranoia and perceptual instability. In most encounters, the mimic remains outside the structure. However, prolonged eye contact significantly increases the probability of interior manifestation. The ceiling walker. The scratching starts above your bedroom. Slow at first, almost quiet. You assume it's pipes or rats inside the ceiling. Then it moves across the room, directly overhead. You stop breathing and look up. Nothing. The scratching stops too. A few seconds pass. Then you hear it again, much closer. You slowly raise your phone light toward the ceiling. Something pale is pressed against it, thin limbs bent at impossible angles. Its body clings upside down like an insect, completely still, watching. Then its head turns, far too quickly, and the scratching begins again. The ceiling walker is a skeletal humanoid entity, adapted for inverted movement across ceilings and elevated surfaces. Its limbs are abnormally long and appear capable of bending beyond natural joint limitations. The entity moves, using rapid insect-like motion, but frequently remains motionless for extended periods. Witnesses report hearing scratching sounds several minutes before visual contact. Its eyes remain permanently open and unblinking. The creature prefers dark indoor environments and is most active during nighttime hours. Direct observation often causes temporary paralysis and severe sleep deprivation in survivors. The false angel. At first, it looks like a statue. Far away, standing near the edge of the empty street. Tall, motionless. Its shape resembles an angel with folded wings. You look away for a moment. When you look back, it's closer, still perfectly still. The wings seem wrong now, too large, bent unevenly. You keep walking, trying not to stare, but every time you glance back, the distance shortens. The face becomes visible, smooth skin, no eyes, and wings covered in small moving shapes, opening and closing like blinking eyes. Then you realize it was never standing still at all. The false angel is a massive humanoid entity, typically observed at long distances before rapidly reducing proximity through unobserved movement. Its appearance resembles religious iconography, though anatomical details become increasingly distorted upon closer inspection. The wings are malformed and covered with eye-like structures capable of independent movement. Witnesses report severe fear responses, spatial disorientation, and temporary memory gaps during encounters. The entity remains silent and rarely displays direct aggression. However, visual fixation appears to accelerate its approach speed. Most recordings of the false angel become corrupted shortly after capture. The mirror face. You see it standing in the reflection first. Tall, pale, motionless behind you. You turn around. Nothing is there. When you look back at the mirror, it's closer. Its face is perfectly reflective, smooth like polished glass. You can only see yourself staring back. But something feels wrong. Your reflection isn't copying you exactly. The movements lag slightly behind. You raise your hand. Your reflection waits, then slowly raises its own. The entity remains still, only the reflection moves. Then your double inside the mirror smiles, but you didn't. The mirror face is a humanoid entity characterized by a reflective surface in place of facial features. Witnesses observing the entity report progressive distortion within nearby reflections, particularly mirrors and dark glass surfaces. At early stages, reflections display delayed synchronization. Extended exposure causes reflections to behave independently from the observer. The entity itself rarely moves directly and is most commonly perceived through reflective surfaces rather than direct vision. Psychological effects include identity confusion, derealization, and hallucinations involving mirrored duplicates. Physical contact with altered reflections has not been documented among survivors. The string puppet. At first, it looks like a hanging body. Its arms dangle loosely. Its head hangs forward. Then it suddenly jerks. One arm snaps upward at an impossible angle. Then the legs twitch violently. The body moves like a broken puppet, pulled by invisible strings. Every movement is too fast, then completely still again. No ropes, no hooks, nothing holding it up. It stumbles closer in uneven, twitching steps. Its limbs keep bending wrong, but the head never moves. Not once, until it stops directly in front of you. Then, slowly, the head tilts upward. The string puppet is a humanoid entity displaying violent, puppet-like movement patterns. Its limbs bend beyond normal anatomical limits, often producing loud, cracking sounds. No visible strings or support structures have ever been observed. The creature moves in abrupt bursts separated by complete stillness. Witnesses describe intense discomfort caused by its unnatural timing and body motion. The head usually remains motionless during movement, only lifting when the entity is extremely close. Video recordings frequently contain missing frames and sudden positional changes during encounters. The flooded man. Water appears on the floor first. Small puddles in the hallway, then the smell follows. Rotten water, damp walls. Wet footprints lead through the apartment, even though no one is inside. The lights begin flickering. You hear dripping nearby, slow, heavy. Then a figure steps out of the darkness. Its body is swollen and pale. Dark water pours from its mouth and eyes, running down onto the floor. The room becomes colder instantly. The figure keeps walking forward silently. Each step leaves deeper puddles behind. Then you realize the water is rising. The flooded man is a bloated humanoid entity associated with water damage, flooding, and sudden temperature drops indoors. Its body appears heavily swollen, resembling advanced drowning decomposition. The entity continuously leaks dark liquid from its facial openings and leaves wet footprints before visual manifestation. Witnesses report increased humidity, electrical interference, and rapid flooding in enclosed spaces during encounters. The creature moves slowly and silently toward occupied areas. Extended exposure often results in respiratory distress and auditory hallucinations resembling underwater sounds. The deer thing. The breathing starts somewhere in the forest, slow, heavy. You stop walking and listen. Everything around you is silent. Then you see antlers moving between the trees. A tall figure steps through the dark. Its limbs are long and almost human, bending too smoothly as it walks. Its face never becomes clear, no matter how long you look. The creature circles slowly through the woods without making a sound. The breathing gets closer, then it suddenly stops, and you realize it's much taller than the trees around it. The deer thing is a tall forest entity recognized by deer antlers and elongated humanoid limbs. It moves with unnatural smoothness and produces almost no sound while walking. Witnesses report that its face remains visually unclear at all distances. Encounters are usually preceded by distant breathing noises in otherwise silent areas. The creature rarely approaches directly, instead moving in circles around observers. Common effects include panic, disorientation, and difficulty judging distance inside forests. The static child. The television turns on by itself. Static fills the screen. At first, it's only noise. Then a small figure appears inside the distortion, standing motionless. Its body flickers constantly, breaking apart like a corrupted signal. The lights in the room begin flashing. Your phone loses connection. The figure slowly steps closer to the screen. Its face remains unclear beneath the static. Then the image freezes completely. Silence. A second later, you hear small footsteps somewhere behind you. The static child is a small humanoid entity, associated with electronic interference and visual distortion. Its body appears unstable, frequently flickering in and out of visibility, like a damaged broadcast signal. Encounters are commonly accompanied by power fluctuations, audio corruption, and device malfunction. Witnesses rarely describe clear facial details due to constant visual noise surrounding the entity. The creature usually manifests near televisions, monitors, or powered electronic devices. Extended exposure often causes headaches, paranoia, and temporary visual afterimages. The hanging giant. At first, it looks like a shadow in the distance. Tall, perfectly still. You can't tell what it's hanging from. The body sways slowly, almost like it's underwater. You look away for a moment. When you look back, it's closer, still hanging, still motionless. The limbs are too long now, the head tilted at an unnatural angle. Again, you look away. Again, it moves closer. No footsteps, no sound, just the slow swaying of its body in the dark. Then you realize its feet are no longer touching the ground. The hanging giant is an extremely tall humanoid entity, observed at long distances, usually during nighttime or heavy fog. The creature appears suspended in midair without visible support. Witnesses report that the entity changes position only when unobserved. Its body moves with slow, pendulum-like motion, despite the absence of wind. The giant remains silent and rarely displays sudden movement. Extended visual contact commonly causes fear responses, spatial distortion, and loss of distance perception.